Yeehaw, I got snake eyes.
In this video, we're going to become Death, the Destroyer of Worlds. We're going to be building one of my favorite fictional characters of all time, Godzilla, or Gojira. First appearing in 1954, he's been in over 3 dozen movies over the last 66 years, and with Godzilla vs. Kong on the horizon, it's fair to say that I'm very excited to build him and see the movie. For goals in this build, we need to become huge, or the absolute biggest we can be to get kaiju sized. We need to have a body fit for a king, dealing and taking lots of damage. Finally, we need a breath attack to deal monstrous damage. And since we don't have radiation, fire will be our substitute. For stats, we get 4 boosts at level 1, put them in the strength, constitution, dexterity, and charisma. For ancestry, I decided we're going to go with Cobalt because they have a ancestry that gives them a type of breath attack, and I think that's fair for Godzilla. For our ancestry, we get dexterity and charisma, but we have to get a negative in constitution. So we're going to do our first video where we voluntarily take flaws. Let's take a negative to our charisma, a negative to our wisdom, and to increase our constitution up by 1 to level it out so we don't lose it. For our Cobalt field this level, we need to channel our draconic power into a gout of energy that manifests in either a 30-foot or a 15-foot cone that deals 1d4 damage. We can't use this ability for 1d4 rounds, and at the 3rd level, and every 2 levels after that, it increases by 1d4. Pick the Brass Dragon. For background, I think Undersea Enthusiast works the best for someone who spends most of their time underwater. You get a boost to your strength, a boost to your constitution, and the Underwater Marauder skill. You're not flat-footed while in the water, and you don't take the usual penalties for using bludgeoning or slashing melee weapons in water. So you can use your claws while underwater. For class, I think Godzilla without a doubt is Barbarian. You get a boost to our strength. We get an expert in perception, expert in fortitude, trained in reflex, and an expert in will saves. We're trained athletics, and we're also trained in additional skills equal to 3 plus our intelligence modifier. Pick Arcana, Acrobatics, and Intimidation. You're trained in simple weapons, martial weapons, and armed attacks. You're trained in light armor and medium armor and unarmored defense. You're also trained in the DC class of Barbarian. At the 1st level, we get Rage. You get a number of temporary hit points equal to your level plus your Constitution modifier. This Rage lasts for 1 minute or until you run out of enemies. This Rage increases your damage by 2 for all melee attacks, both unarmed and with weapons. This damage is halved if you use a weapon that's agile. You take a -1 to your AC, but with all the damage you're outputting, you shouldn't feel that AC. And after you finish raging, you can't rage for 1 minute. For our Instinct, we need to get as big as possible for Godzilla, so we're going to pick Giant's Instinct to get him as close to Godzilla's size as we can get him. And for our Barbarian feat at this level, I think Moment of Clarity is important, so you can spend an action to be able to cast spells with the Concentrate trait. It doesn't have the Rage trait. So now we can cast our spells without having to drop our Rage. For the 2nd level, we get a Barbarian feat, and I think we need to throw a curveball, and we need to emphasize Godzilla's magical spells, as well as his big, imposing size. But Godzilla doesn't just do magic spells, he doesn't just wave a wand, and it's done. The magic that you have cuts deep. It gives you these dorsal plates that glow when they're in use. It gives you keloid scars, like those who suffered radiation. So, I say we're going to go Rune Scarred archetype. You become an expert in Arcana, become trained in the region lore, or an expert in region lore if you're already trained in it. Choose 1 cantrip from the arcane spell list, pick Flame, in case you need to fire again if you ran out of Cobalt Breath. And for our skill feat, let's get Titan Wrestler to disarm, grapple, shove, and trip creatures up to 2 sizes larger than you, or 3 sizes larger than you when you are legendary in athletics. This is going to be really useful when we get large. For wrestling Titans, there is no substitute for this skill. At the 3rd level, we get a boost to our breath. Right next to our Barbarian level cap, I'm going to put a little notice to let you know what level we're going to increase our breath attack at. Right now it's going to be 2d4. You get Deny Advantage. You aren't flat-footed to hidden, undetected, or flanking creatures of your level or lower, or creatures of your level or lower can use Surprise Attack. However, they can still help their allies. For a general feat, let's get Adopted Ancestry and pick Lizard Folk. Skill increases athletics up to Expert. For our 4th level, we get a Barbarian feat. I say we get Spell Runes from Rune Scarred. Choose a 1st level arcane spell, and then you get to choose a 2nd level spell at the 6th level, and then a 3rd level spell at the 8th level. For our 1st level spell, I say pick Burning Hands. For our 6th level spell, pick Flaming Sphere. And for our 3rd level spell, pick Fireball. And they'll pop up as 2, 6, and 8. For our skill feat, let's get Catfall. Treat falls shorter than they are by 10 feet, and it'll increase as we increase in acrobatics, which is very helpful when we get dropped out of the sky. The 5th level, we get Ability Boost. Increase your strength, constitution, wisdom, and charisma. For our ancestry feat, through lizard folk, get razor claws. So our claws can do 1d6 of damage instead of 1d4. It's not a huge improvement, but I'm going more for thematic rather than scaled damage. I would suggest getting brawling hand wraps. We also get brutality. Your simple weapons, martial weapons, and armed strikes get up to expert. And while ranged, you get access to your critical specialization effects of melee and armed attacks. For our skill increases, get intimidation up to expert. For our 6th level, get a barbarian feat. Get giant stature to increase our size to large when we're raging. We're not quite so big, but we're getting there. And for our skill feats, get intimidating prowess. At the 7th level, we get a general feat. Get die hard to die at the dying condition of 5 rather than 4. Godzilla has wicked durability, and we need to represent that in the build, with our hit points as well as our dying level. We also get Juggernaut. Your rank in Fortitude saves increase to Master. When you roll a success on a Fortitude save, you get a critical success instead. You get a skill increase. Let's increase the Athletics to Master. And Weapon Specialization. You deal 2 additional damage for weapons or armed strikes. You also get our Instinct Specialization ability at this level. At the 8th level, we get a Barbarian feat. Get Sudden Charge, stride twice. If you end your movement speed within melee range of another enemy, you can make a melee strike against that enemy. So look, I incorporated the drop kick that he gives the Megalon, which is very important to me. It's one of my favorite moves in the entire series. For our skill feat, get Quick Swim, to swim 5 feet farther on a success and 10 feet farther on a critical success, up to your speed. If you're a legendary at athletics, you get a swim speed equal to your land speed, which is going to be pretty important when we get in the water and when we get athletics up to the legendary. At the 9th level, we get an ancestry feat through Cobalt Pig Dragon's Breath. When you use Cobalt Breath, you can increase the damage die to d8s and increase the area from 60 feet in a line to up to 30 feet in a cone. But if you do, you can't use it again for 1 hour. So at this level, it would be 5d4 or 5d8s, and that'll be represented in the little box next to your barbarian. You'll get lightning reflexes. Your rank in reflex saves increase to expert. We get raging resistance. While raging, you gain resistance equal to 3 plus your con modifier to damage types based on your instinct. And we also get a skill increase. Let's get intimidation up to master. At the 10th level, we get ability boost, strength, constitution, charisma, and wisdom. For our barbarian feat at this level, I'll get the spell room for this level. So we get a 4th level spell. I'll suggest Wall of Flame. A 12th level spell, get a 5th level spell. I would suggest getting Flame Drake, so you can call out to Rodan to assist you in combat. And at the 14th level, we get a 6th level spell. Now we get a Disintegrate for a big, heavy magic attack. For our skill feat, get Battle Cry. When you roll initiative, you can let out a mighty battle cry and demoralize any observed foe as a free action. At the 11th level, get a general feat, Toughness, to increase your health by your level. You get Mighty Rage. Our class DC increases to Expert, and the skill increases the Acrobatics up to Expert. At the 12th level, we get a Barbarian feat. Now it's time to get Godzilla as close to Godzilla size as we can with Titan's stature. We now grow to huge when we're raging. So what does that mean for us? Our natural reach is now 15 feet. And the only size category bigger than us is Gargantuan, which means we can drag out brawl against huge dragons, huge plants, huge golems, and demons. With a size as large as 32 feet, you can stomp around medieval cities like Tokyo or San Francisco. And if your DM hands you magical equipment, you'll be able to swing pound for pound. For our skill feat, get Arcane Sense to cast a 1st level detect magic at will as an arcane innate spell. So you can just be on the lookout for any other magical beings in your area. At the 13th level, get Dracomancer. You also get Greater Juggernaut. Our Fortitude saves increases to Legendary. When you roll a critical failure on a Fortitude save, you get a failure instead. And if your failure would end with you getting damage, you only take half that damage anyways. We also get Medium Armor Expertise. Ranks in all our armor, light, medium, and unarmed, gets increased to Expert. Skill increases get Acrobatics up to Master. And for our Weapon Fury, our ranks in our simple, martial, and unarmed attacks increase to Master. At the 14th level, we get a Barbarian feat. Whirlwind Strike to attack all enemies within your reach, with given your reach is a lot of enemies at once. And for our skill feat, get Group Coercion, which is good when you want to give a classic Godzilla yell and send a bunch of people scattering all through town. At the 15th level, you get 4 ability boosts, Strength, Constitution, Charisma, and Wisdom. And for our general feat, get Breath Control, to hold your breath for 25 times longer than usual, which is really useful when you're underwater for long periods of time. We also get Greater Weapon Specialization. Our damage with our Weapon Specialization increases to 4 with Expert, or 6 if we're Master. We also get the greater benefit from our Instinct Specialization ability. Indomitable Will. When you roll a success on a will save, you also get a critical success instead. For our skill increase, let's get Athletics up to Legendary, to be a true force of nature. At the 16th level, get a Barbarian feat. Martial Artist Dedication, because I really don't want to proc into Monk, because I don't really feel like Godzilla-ish, even if it's basically the same thing. The damage die if your unarmed fist goes to 1d6, which doesn't matter because you have claws. You don't take the -2 penalty for a lethal attack. For our skill feats, get Cloud Jump. To triple the distance, you long jump, so you can jump 60 feet. And when you high jump, you use the calculation for a long jump, but don't triple the distance. So, with this, you can just jump super high and do body slams like he does to Megaguirus in that 2000 film. At the 17th level, we get an Ancestry feat, and now this one's a little iffy, so bear with me. If you're going to go straight Cobalt, I would get the Elite Dracomancer and get Haste or Stone Skin for some extra health, but for me, I would go with Scion Transformation to become enlarged and increase your maximum hit points by your level. And for the purpose of this build, I'm assuming your DM will allow you to pick Scion Transformation because, come on, you're Godzilla. Why wouldn't he let you pick that? We also get Heightened Senses, your proficiency rank and perception increases to Master, skill increase, get Intimidation up to Legendary, and we also get Quick Rage at this level. After you spend a full turn without raging, you can rage again without needing to wait a minute, which is great if you want to get right back into the fight. At the 18th level, Barbarian feat, I say get Dragon Stance to make a Dragon Tail attack that deals 1d10 bludgeoning damage. This will up our damage with our fists and make us more of a formidable opponent in a one-on-one fight. I would flavor it as you using your actual tail for combat, but you know. For our skill fields, get Quick Jump to get a high jump and long jump as a single action instead of 2 actions. At the 19th level, Armor of Fury. Ranks in all our armor, light, medium, and unarmored, increase to Master. Devastator, our class DC increases to Master, and our melee strikes ignore 10 points of a creature's resistances to their physical damage, which means when you hit someone with a physical resistance, you're going to plow right through it anyway and deal damage. And for our general feat at this level, just get Fleet to increase our land speed by 5 feet, which also, in turn, will help your swim speed, which is good. We also get a skill increase to get Acrobatics at the Legendary, and at the 20th level, our last ability score boosts. Strength, Constitution, Dexterity, Wisdom. For our Barbarian feat, I really like the flavoring of Quaking Stomp. You get the Earthquake spell that can be used once every 10 minutes, which is great for just decimating the area around you in Godzilla stomps. For our skill feat level, get Scared to Death. Attempt an Intimidation check against a will DC of a creature within 30 feet. If the target can't hear you or doesn't understand your language, you're at a negative advantage. But if you succeed, they flat out die, which is a great way to start off combat by killing people with your scream. With all that being said, do you want to be the king of the monsters? Let's start with Aerial Effect. While raging, your size is huge. You can swipe at people with a huge distance safely from your spot. And with Whirlwind Strike, you can hit multiple opponents at once for heavy damage. And with your Tail Swipe, you can do up to 3d10 plus 24 damage with a combo. That's if you don't have the Brawling Wraps installed, because Giant doesn't increase our unarmed damage, our giant melee damage. But if you want to be a Godzilla with a giant battle axe, I say go for it. That sounds pretty cool. Again, I'm playing to the character, but you can play them however you want. With your list of spells, you have a huge variety of ways to mess with the battlefield, with Wall of Flame to cut off movement, with Fireball to break up enemy tight formations. You also have Disintegrate to just flat out melt people. And of course, top it off with Earthquake, which can be used pretty much every encounter if you time it right. With 386 health, gaining 25 health every rage with an action spent, and the ability not to die until dying condition of 5 makes you insanely hard to kill. And for damage, you're dealing great fire damage, consistent at that, with up to 94 damage every 1d4 rounds. So with that in mind, surge up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror. Get 30 stories high, sometimes, and start to hop around Tokyo City like a big playground. Just be careful of your infamous status. There are monsters out there who might be looking for a shot at the throne, and you might be facing your final wars. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I put a lot of love into Godzilla because he's one of my favorite creatures and characters of all time. I'm super excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I have a few theories on what's going to happen and what might happen. Team Godzilla, all the way. Tune in next time where I gotta find someone who's able to take down Godzilla pretty easily. I wonder who that could be. Monkey.